7 Heavenly Virtues of JRPG Design. Hey everybody, this is Nick BRPG. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different and talk about 7 design elements that, in my opinion, enhance the experience of JRPG playthroughs. Number 1. Save anywhere. You know, it's funny, this is one of those design choices that you really don't miss until it's gone. Over the last, let's say, year, having played Eiyuden Chronicle, and now I'm playing through Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. I played them like so many classics a long time ago, but I'm playing through them again now. These are games that have save points, which was really common in traditional RPGs, and I would say less common in the modern RPG space where you can save anywhere. It doesn't sound like a big thing, but for me, it really is. I'm a busy adult. Sometimes I can only carve 20 or 30 minutes for a play session, and when session's over, I need to be able to save my game, close out, and get on with my day or night. So the ability to save my game anywhere, for me, it's a godsend. It's something that allows me to chip away at progress and get back to the game at my own pace. And further, I would say it's nice to not have to risk losing a ton of progress because you went really far between save points and then your power went out or you died, and it's not the sort of game that lets you repeat the fight or whatever. To me, it's all upside. Let me save anywhere. Number 2, 0 padding. So here's a thought experiment for you. Which kind of game would you rather play? Would you rather play a 70 to 80 hour game that you would say the average experience is maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10? Or would you rather play a 30 to 40 hour game where you say the average experience is 10 out of 10? It's almost a perfect game. And to me, the answer to that question is a no-brainer. Give me curtain number 2, the latter column, every day of the week. Give me a short, tight, masterful experience, and I'm a very happy camper. Again, busy adult. I want to get on. I want to play more games. If there's one thing that causes a lot of attrition in video games, think about how many games you've played but never beaten. I know I've played many, frankly. I'm sure that's true of most gamers. One of the biggest culprits has to be a game overstaying its welcome. And a lot of that has to come down to padding. I'm playing my way right now through Trails Through Daybreak 2. Trails is one of my favorite game series of all time, but I gotta say, this game has been a little bit of a slog for me. It has, in my opinion, a lot of padding. I'm gonna have to talk about that game when I'm done with it and maybe talk about the Trails series more generally. I've already said it before on this channel. I'm probably gonna say it in as many videos as I possibly can. And I say this about side content, but you could say this about primary game content too. Bad side content or bad content is worse than no content. Give me a tight experience. Less good things is better than more mediocre things. You don't just have to cram as much stuff in your game to make it better. When I was a kid, and by kid I mean adolescent, one of my best friends, when he would try to sell a game to me, he'd be like, Nick, dude, this game is awesome. It's a 90-hour game. And I never said anything back then, but even back then I was always thinking, like, that's not selling me on it. Why? I don't care how long the game is. I want it to be a good game, not a long game. And I mean, there are some that are both, but even some of my favorite really long games, think the Persona series. Persona 5 is an amazing game, but is it too long? In my opinion, it is. In my opinion, you start to get a little fatigued by the end of the run. So, padding, it's not a good thing. Clair Obscur Expedition 33, tight experience. Number 3, all encounters are on screen and avoidable. Okay, for me, this is a big one. I've already established in my earlier videos on this channel, I'm very much a retro gamer, and I'm well aware that random encounters are a staple of the classics. And let me add, again, some of my favorite games of all time have random encounters. Suikoden 2, Xenogears, Final Fantasy VI, modern staples like Octopath 1 and 2. I absolutely adore these games. But even still, do I think random encounters are better than on-screen encounters? Absolutely not. Avoidable on-screen encounters is definitely the way. And it was done in classics like Lunar, like Grandia, like Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a little bit different, but still. And the big problem about random encounters to me, the reason why I really don't like them, well, there's two. They get tedious after a while and interrupting, and they just break up game flow. But the bigger one for me is that they really feel like they punish exploration. I especially feel this way in the Octopath series, right? With so many hidden grottos and dungeons, and it's such a gorgeous world that you just want to touch it and walk through it and explore it. But random encounters are just always looming over your shoulder, interrupting you, sometimes breaking your momentum and making you forget where you were going or what you were doing. On-screen avoidable encounters, I said I'm playing Trails Through Daybreak 2 right now, and I've played every other Trails game before. They've all had avoidable encounters like this, and it makes exploring those worlds such a joy, I have to add. Chef's kiss. Let me avoid the encounters that I want to avoid. Let me pick the fights that I want to pick. Number 4. No missables, or very hard to miss missables. So for me, this one boils down to perhaps a common through line that you're seeing throughout this video. I'm a busy adult, I value my time, and one thing that I really don't want to do for the most part is have to play a game more than once to experience all the content that it has to offer. Now, am I a rabid completionist? No. There are some things that I will opt to skip, but the key word there is opt. This is something that the Modern Trail series does fantastically. They flag their side quests, they flag the events, and they even warn you when you're about to progress the story and leave whatever area you're in. It sounds kind of metagamey, but to me, I really appreciate it. Let me choose what I'm going to experience or not experience. Clear Obscure approached this brilliantly too by just making you basically able to return to any area and do any content. There were very few that I can think of in Clear Obscure missables. I think maybe just in the prologue in the city, but everything on the continent you can go back to and experience. Although I would say the best game of all time that handled this for me was Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. I know that that's a favorite on the DS and 3DS respectively. And I know that this is maybe not something that could be replicated by many other games because it features a time travel mechanic where you can basically revisit any section of the game and replay that area. But to me, I gotta say, I really did adore that I did not have to play that game with a guide because I knew that it was at my fingertips to go back and explore areas and experience all the content. So for me, if a game helps me not feel the impulse to play it with a strategy guide and empowers me to experience all of its content on a single playthrough, I'm here for it. Number 5, turn-based combat. Okay, for me, this is just purely my bias showing. And it's funny because if I would have made this opinion 10, probably even 5 years ago, it would have been something of a hot take. For decades now, I've been fighting with people in forums defending turn-based combat, where many people, again, especially in years past, would say turn-based was the past, right? Action is the future. Get over it, boomer. Right, was basically what I would be told back then. And I think with Baldur's Gate 3, with Metaphor ReFantazio, with Clair Obscure Expedition 33, I don't think that there's so much of an argument anymore. I think I won, right? I think turn-based is experiencing a renaissance. It's making its way into the mainstream consciousness. I know Final Fantasy developers are saying, oh, maybe people actually do like turn-based, that we helped pave the way to. You think? Come on, guys, did it really take you this long to figure that out? Again, I'm not saying action combat is bad. I can get down with an action game every now and again, but turn-based is my very favorite, and especially for JRPGs. And yes, I like the way turn-based plays, but the bigger reason why is because JRPGs especially focus more on party-based progression, right? You have a party of characters, and there is no better system for getting to manipulate a full party of characters in combat than turn-based, right? Experience their abilities, see what they can do. So to me, turn-based combat in some ways even helps the game meta-narratively, because this might just be me, but when I play an action JRPG, even one where you have a party and you can switch up your party members, I usually pick my favorite character, quite often the main character, think Tales of Arise. I never didn't play Alphen. And then I just, pilot that character all the way through the game. And you don't really get to experience what the other characters can do. I adore turn-based combat to pieces. It's definitely making a comeback, and I'm all about that. Number 6. Characters have set classes and abilities. Okay, I expect this one to be maybe a little bit of a hot take, because I know that job systems, which I can get down with in the right mood too, or just everybody can do everything, full customization, that's something that a lot of players like. And again, in the right mood, I like it too. But really, to be honest with you, I do not like it as much as characters having set classes and abilities. For me, there's 2 reasons. One of them is that for some RPGs, it really is fun to not have to spend hours in the menu figuring out how to tool your party. Think Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy IV. Characters do what they do, and there's a simplicity to that for me is charming and I really like. It goes back to what I actually just said about party-based manipulation in a narrative, and that's the bigger thing for me. When characters have set classes and abilities, you can use their class and ability to feed a narrative. Cecil from Final Fantasy IV, spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil like a 30-year-old game, guys, goes from a Dark Knight to a Paladin, and those abilities are all affected in what he can do throughout his redemption arc storyline, but in combat. Or here's a spoiler that I won't do. Think Chaos from Xenosaga Episode 1. What he is and what he can do is a mystery throughout that entire game, but not really if you play him and see what he does in battle, right? His abilities and his weapons, for that matter, expose what he is without the game narratively having to tell you anything. And to me, that's awesome, right? When you have characters fill a role, it can feed a narrative that has a feedback loop into the gameplay. I love that. Number 7. Major character deaths. Is this one a hot take also? Maybe. I gotta tell you, for JRPGs especially, they can sometimes have a hard time either killing characters or keeping killed characters dead. I'm looking at you, Trail series. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a sadist and I like blood. I mean, sometimes. But no, I'm saying it because major character deaths instill stakes. They help you get immersed in the world. You can feel the stakes. When your character is in a mortal struggle, you know that the game is being serious about that. Think about most of the best RPGs of all time, or at least my favorites. The new hit, right? Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Suikoden 2, Final Fantasy VII, Lufia 2. That's an interesting one. These games all have major character deaths that, yeah, it hurts, it makes you cry, but it galvanizes your attachment to the setting, to the world, to the survivors. It lets you know, preferably early, like Clair Obscur, this game's playing for real, and that your characters actually are in danger. So those are the 7 heavenly virtues of JRPG design, in my humble opinion. This list is definitely not exhaustive. There are many other elements that I love that go into a good game, and maybe one day I'll make another list like this. And it certainly doesn't mean that if a game doesn't adhere to one of these, that it can't be a good game. We already talked about random encounters and how many of my all-time favorites use them. But still, it makes me wonder when looking at this list if there is a recent game that released to critical acclaim who maybe adheres to every single one of the 7 things on this list, almost as if it is a recipe to success. I'll have to ponder on that one. Well, that's all I've got for today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a like and a subscribe. I'm a brand new YouTuber. I'm learning this as I go, and any support, feedback means a lot to me. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.